Spoiler alert for Batman Arkham Shadow. Huge spoilers, like a big spoiler alert. I'm going to talk about everything in this game. This game changes a lot about the Arkhamverse, and I've broken it down into 5 lore details just for this one video for now. And we'll probably make another one of these later on in the future, but let's start with the first one here. Major spoilers again, by the way. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent is the Rat King in this game. So let me paint the picture for Batman Arkham Shadow so you guys are caught up to speed. The bulk of this game, pretty much the entire thing except for the prologue, takes place in Blackgate Prison. That's the hub of this game. Bruce goes into Blackgate disguised as Matches Malone, his classic disguise he's used before, because he believes he'll find the Rat King inside Blackgate. So throughout the game, you play as the inmate Matches Malone, investigating Blackgate, and at night, you sneak out of your cell, go into the Batcave under the prison, gear up as Batman, and kick ass to find more answers. Batman only has like a week to find the Rat King, because after like a week, the Rat King plans to initiate the Day of Wrath, which pretty much means he's trying to destroy Gotham. He's trying to, I think, destroy cops, courts, the slime of Gotham City, essentially. This game takes place in the course of like 6 days inside Blackgate, and after each day, we get a flashback of Bruce's childhood. And do you know what these flashbacks consist of? Bruce and Harvey's childhood relationship. Bruce and Harvey were best friends as kids together in this game. So after Bruce's parents die, Leslie Tompkins helps to take care of Bruce, since she runs a crisis center for young kids. If you don't know who Leslie Tompkins is, she's a mentor and ally to Batman generally in the comics, and she helped out Bruce here after his parents died. She introduces a grief-stricken Bruce with a grief-stricken Harvey. Well, Harvey's not grief-stricken in this game, he's more traumatized, and that's because Harvey's father physically abuses him. We see in these flashbacks that his dad has what I think is called dissociate identity disorder. I don't know what it's called if I'm being honest, but he pretty much has what Two-Face / Harvey Dent is known to have, like the split personality. We see in these flashbacks that Harvey's father flips a coin to see if he's going to beat his kid or not. And in another flashback, we see his dad finding Harvey Dent in a closet hiding with Bruce. But here, he's nice to Harvey and tells him that everything's going to be okay. This is why Harvey is the way he is, with the split personality disorder, because his father pretty much had the same exact thing. In this game, it is revealed that Harvey takes Jonathan Crane, who works at Blackgate, with him to court trials in case the people Dent is testifying needs mental evaluations. Crane is going to have his own huge lore dump here in another topic, but for Harvey here, there's an audio tape between Crane and Dent that pretty much has Crane breaking into Harvey's psyche. It's a very long audio tape, so I'll put a little thing on the screen if you want to skip it, but I do recommend watching it. But yeah, check this out.
Nice office, Doc. It's mine to shame.
Unlike City Hall, Tiger makes the working conditions of its senior staff a priority. How can I help you, Mr. Dent?
Harvey is just fine. I'm looking for a go-to medical expert for trial. Competency evals, mental fitness testimonies, that sort of thing. Any interest?
Of course. I would be honored.
Well, that's good to hear. You know, your predecessor, Strange, always seemed like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Well, I'm at home here in Blackgate. It provides an opportunity to test out some exciting new therapies. You promised to crush crime within a year. I aim to do the same with recidivism.
Must be some therapy.
Indeed. Have you ever sought treatment, Mr. Dent?
Harvey. And no, not since I was a kid. Went through a rough patch, but since then, smooth sailing.
That was certainly a novel approach to cross-examination.
I know, Doc. I lost it. You should have seen the police photos. This bastard didn't just beat his kid, he starved him. Kept him locked in a closet for 6 months. 8 years old. Fighting with the rats over scraps of food. When the cops finally freed him, kidneys had failed and his heart was scarred by infection.
My goodness. Harrowing stuff.
And his dad has the nerve to take the stand and tell the court his kid deserved it. Piece of shit's lucky I only took a couple of swings at him. Besides, I might have just torched my whole career.
Oh, I doubt that. You're a hero in the papers. Two-fisted DA, Deck's deadbeat dad. The public's behind you on this.
My own dad's to blame for my short fuse. But I can't lose my temper like that again.
Your father. I'd like to hear more about him.
You really think this stuff will help?
Early trials are quite promising. Now, hold this. Hold it. There you go. And take 3 deep breaths. Good. I want you to consider that your recent outbursts may be stress-induced. Building a case against Carmine Falcone clearly had you burning the candle at both ends.
Well, tell that to the press. All I hear about is how the Batman brought down the Roman Empire. We worked together, you know. Me, him, Gordon too. I'm starting to lose my cool again.
No. No. That's good. Good. We've already touched on how much you've been repressing. The more you try to contain your shadow, the more that aspect of your psyche stagnates and festers. We need to bring it to light.
Drag it out of the darkness. That's what I've been trying to do with this whole city. Too many trials. Too many appeals. Better we let fate judge. 50-50. Like flipping a coin. Better odds than my old man gave me. No, it's, getting worse. Headaches, mostly.
That's only a function of your conscious mind giving way to your shadow self. As it rises to the surface, your awareness becomes fuzzy, in a neurological sense, as you grapple with the headache.
That's not it. It's never been this bad. Gilda's scared. And I am too.
You fear becoming your father. You fear you'll assume his worst traits as you get older. Please, sit. Have a sip of water. Good. Listen, things always feel more intense just before the real healing begins. You are making remarkable progress.
We are making remarkable progress.
Of course, Mr. Dent. This is good for both of us.
Doctor, I want to stop the treatments.
But why?
Why? What the hell happened to your lab rat this morning?
It's the unfortunate reality of medical testing that, on occasion, we have to put an animal through some measure of discomfort in order to...
The shit you got me breathing burned its fur off. Melted its skin.
Mr. Dent, the individual chemicals in this solution are heavily corrosive, but when properly diluted, they are inert and stable.
Inert and stable. I don't know.
Harvey, I've been reviewing our recorded sessions, and I'm confident you're on the cusp of a major breakthrough. Trust the process. If not for yourself, then do it for Gilda. Doesn't she deserve a healthier, happier husband?
Crane, if my symptoms don't resolve soon, I am out.
Understood. You're making the right choice. I'll prepare the dose.
In that audio tape, we see that Harvey's split personality is splitting through the cracks. I mean, he let his violent side, or his quote-unquote shadow, come out and punched a guy in court. He said "we" during his treatment where he was talking about his split personality, whereas Crane thought he was referring to the two of them in the room. We'll talk more about what shadow means later on in the video. It's established in the beginning of the game that Harvey, Gordon, and Batman all worked together and told each other they'd crush crime in Gotham within the year. Same thing Harvey tells Batman in Arkham Knight. Harvey appears throughout the game to genuinely help out because that's what he genuinely believes he's doing, helping out. In the game, Bruce, disguised as Matches Malone, helps out Carmine Falcone in the prison, giving him a reputation for working with Carmine Falcone. And later on after that, Matches, or Bruce Wayne, is actually interrogated by Gordon and Harvey because they believe he killed a cop disguised as an inmate on the inside of the prison. This is what leads to this famous trial scene. Harvey is the lead DA here in this trial against Matches. He is there with Jonathan Crane, and this is where Harvey gets scarred. Check this out.
Everything all right, Doctor?
I will prove his competency beyond a shadow of a doubt. Yes, this is exactly what the patient needs.
No, just take it easy, Doctor.
Keep this guy away from the
You saw it. He did this.
Harvey? Harvey? Are you okay?
Is he okay? Is he okay? Bastard. I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
So as you can see, Harvey thought that Matches Malone, I think, threw the acid at him, but if you look closely, Bruce doesn't even touch it, and Crane just kind of throws it onto Harvey himself. At least that's what it looked like to me. Harvey even calls Matches an acid-throwing bastard, same thing he mentions to Batman in Arkham Knight. So for more context, the way Bruce gets into Blackgate is that he throws a Molotov at his back signal while disguised as Matches Malone. So when Harvey says that it was Batman's fault for putting that acid-throwing bastard in the dock in Arkham Knight, he blames Batman because it was his bat signal that got Matches thrown into prison. Now you may think this messes up the continuity because usually Maroni is the guy who throws the acid onto Harvey, typically, I guess. However, not once in the series does it ever name drop Maroni throwing the acid onto Harvey's face. They never say who it was that threw the acid onto Harvey's face, just that they are tied to Carmine Falcone, which Matches Malone was in this game. Now, fast forward to the end of the game. The Day of Wrath happens, which the plan here is this giant ship is going to crash into Gotham City with all the rats inside, killing all the rats. At least that's all the plan ends up being since Batman does stop it. However, it's here where the Rat King is revealed to be Harvey Dent. However, Harvey himself does not know he is the Rat King due to his disorder. Check out this clip.
No more rats. No more Rat King. You are the Rat King. Dent, you're not well.
I know what you're trying to do.
But you don't get to be the hero tonight.
Now, at the end of this final mission, Batman stops Harvey from killing this man, which we'll talk about him later in the video, but the way Bruce stopped Harvey from killing him is by revealing his identity. Bruce takes off his mask to show Harvey who he is since they are childhood friends, and this would get Harvey to comply. So yes, the old guy escapes, and Batman stops Harvey and saves the city. 2 days later pass, and Harvey is in Leslie Tompkins' office getting help. Bruce and Leslie are there at his side. Harvey's disorder makes him seemingly forget what occurred on the ship, so he doesn't know Bruce is Batman. His disorder, as well as the scarred face, turns him into the Two-Face we see in the Arkham games, and the game ends there. Yeah, a huge lore dump for Harvey, which I think is incredible. Some things I want to point out here: in the game, Harvey feels as if he's ignored by Bruce. There's a few times where he tries to call Bruce, but since, Bruce isn't Blackgate as matches Malone, he doesn't answer, leaving Harvey feeling as if he's not important to Bruce. This ultimately turns into a side of resentment and hatred towards Bruce. In the Arkham City audio tapes, Hugo Strange does ask Harvey about Bruce Wayne, and says how he hates him since all he kind of cares about is money and girls and stuff. In this game, Matches Malone was tied to Carmine Falcone, so the things Harvey references in the other games about Falcone being the cause of his accident make sense still. Ultimately, it wasn't Matches who threw the acid at Harvey. To me, it looked like it was very clear that Crane just kind of turned around and slammed it onto Harvey's face. So when Batman tells Harvey in Arkham Knight that it wasn't his fault about the acid throwing bastard remark, that is 100% the truth. I think it was really well done how they really carefully put this into the canon and it making sense. At least to me, it made sense. And I love it. Two-Face is my favorite Batman villain, and this game served really well into showing his origin. Harvey felt not only betrayed by Batman and Gordon, but he also felt betrayed by his childhood friend Bruce Wayne. It's why he hates him in Arkham City. It's why he tells Batman that he betrayed him, and it all truly stems here in Batman Arkham Shadow. It's really amazing to see, and since Arkham Shadow takes place 12 years before Asylum, City, and Night, I can see why Bruce doesn't bring this up much in those games, because 1, we don't really see Harvey Dent anyway in those games, but 2, it was such a long time ago. It makes sense the more you think about it, and I think it fits better here, rather than having Maroni just toss the acid at Harvey like he typically does. But yes, Harvey Dent was the Rat King, even if you didn't know it. What do you think about this? There's still so much to talk about. Let's just move on to the next topic. Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. Well, he's not the Scarecrow in this game, not his alter ego yet, and he doesn't become Scarecrow in this game. But Crane is basically the biggest villain in this game, at least I thought so. He is the guy that essentially turns everyone in this game into their worst selves. Everybody, let's just break it down. So Crane's role in this game is that he is the doctor to help treat the inmates in Blackgate. However, what he's actually doing is off the books and really sinister. So he and Harleen Quinzel are the two main doctors in the game. They argue a lot, however, and they fight constantly throughout the game. He actually takes over the position of Hugo Strange in this game. It's mentioned that Strange is busy doing God knows what and he can't be at Blackgate, which makes Jonathan Crane take his place at Blackgate. This goes with the continuity in Arkham Origins where it's stated that Harley and Hugo Strange work together in Blackgate, so the fact that they paid attention to that detail here is just really awesome. Harley wants to treat the inmates with kindness and just talk to them like I guess a normal psychiatrist would. However, what Crane does to them, like I said, is off the books. Crane in this game discusses the concept of people's shadows, which is basically bringing out the repressed, violent side within people, and how he thinks that's a good thing to let your shadow come out and make it your true self, so to speak. That's how I interpreted it anyway. So what Crane is doing is testing out his new drug he created on these inmates to help pull that shadow out of them. Some inmates disappear while others turn into their darker, more violent side. In Batman Arkham Origins, which takes place 6 months before this game, Crane is looking for patients to test his new drug on. That drug is the huge factor in this game, which is crazy. Crane is basically the actual villain behind this game. He's the reason everyone turns out the way they do. Just to go down the list of people he ruins in this game, Harvey Dent. We talked about him in this previous detail. In Harvey's audio tape, Crane basically finds out about Harvey's disorder and backstory, and he's the one who hits the acid onto Harvey's face, causing his transformation. Crane tries to use his drug on Batman as well, and I'm not going to go too deep into this topic right here because Batman will have his own point where I do go deep into that, but he makes Batman see his shadow, his violent side, but Batman ultimately overcomes it. Arnold Wesker, the ventriloquist, same thing. I'm going to have a point on him later on, but Crane is basically the reason, more or less, on why Arnold becomes attached to Scarface or Woody in this game and goes on his path to become his supervillain counterpart. For Harleen Quinzel, Crane is kind of the reason Harleen goes on to her next step in her path to become Harley Quinn. Crane quote-unquote fires her after he's fed up with her and her methods of trying to rehabilitate the inmates. Harley and Crane get into a physical altercation later on that we find out in the story. Harleen works with Batman at this part of the story to take Crane down because she finds out he's been experimenting on inmates with his new drug, specifically using Arnold Wesker as his main test subject. And finally, with Harley, we see that she transfers the Joker out of his cell, where after we don't know what happens to them. Crane really pushed Harleen over the edge throughout the story to really make her go in this direction, and it turned into her breaking point, so to speak. There's audio tapes in the game where the doctors in the game interview the inmates, some from Harleen, which are shown to be kind of normal. There's some with Leslie Tompkins, which is meant to be similar, but a little bit more stern, perhaps. And there's ones with Jonathan Crane, which shows how he forces his sinister ways of slowly breaking these people and luring them into testing his new drug. That shows the stark contrast with the other interviewees. The whole point of the title of this game, Shadow, is that all these characters release their violent, perhaps vengeful sides. Crane is really the biggest factor behind all of that. This is really insane because it's like a full circle kind of thing where Crane is a huge deal in this game, even though it doesn't feel like it, up until Arkham Knight, where he's the biggest deal at the end of Batman's career. It gives him a different angle in how I view him because we now see how insane he was even before becoming Scarecrow. It's really interesting also how it continues with the little Easter egg we saw in Arkham Origins where he's looking for inmates to test his new drugs on, which leads into Arkham Shadow and the shadow element of this game here. It's really well done, and to me, it's so sick. It's really well done, and Crane is the actual villain behind the entire game, despite not being the Rat King, at least to me. The ventriloquist. Arnold Wesker plays a supporting role in this game. Not a huge integral part of the main story, but he has a pretty big story for himself in this game. He's also one of my favorite villains, and I think what he serves here is something I want to discuss. So in this game, we basically see the entirety of Arnold Wesker and Woody's origins into the ventriloquist supervillain. So if you don't know the ventriloquist, he's a Batman villain. It's this guy, Arnold Wesker, holding around a dummy named Scarface. And Scarface goes around killing people. He kind of acts like a 60s mob boss kind of thing. Arnold thinks the puppet is real and possessed and is telling him what to do. The typical origin of the puppet is that an inmate named Donegan masters ventriloquism and later gets a piece of wood from the prison's vault. What Donegan didn't know was that the wood he got was from the charred remains of the old gallows used to execute inmates at Blackgate. He turned this wood into the Scarface puppet, who he initially called Woody at first. Woody was his only companion in Blackgate. He didn't have any other inmates in his cell up until Arnold Wesker showed up. Wesker was sentenced to Blackgate for killing somebody. Long story short, Woody was talking to Arnold during the time they were in a cell together, and Arnold ultimately kills Donegan, takes Woody, and they start to villainous persona as a ventriloquist together. And this is where Woody renames himself to Scarface and so on. That entire story is shown here basically the same way. Once we enter the prison as Matches Malone, Donegan and Arnold's cell is right next to ours. We see that Arnold just gets into that cell since they kind of introduce themselves here, Donegan and Arnold. Now throughout the story, you sneak out of your cell to go into the Batcave, and the route you take has you spying on Arnold and Donegan and Woody with their conversations. There's a bunch throughout the game, but it pretty much builds up how Arnold is taking a liking to Woody, and Woody is slowly trying to get Arnold to adhere to him. The audio tapes in the game reveal how Harley and Crane fostered that relationship between them, allowing them to grow that much of a bond. Check out the interview tape between Harleen and Arnold.
So, what was it you wanted to talk about?
Oh, well, I'm not trying to make any trouble for anyone.
It's all right, Arnold. I'm not one of the guards, okay? I'm here to help.
I'm sorry. It's just that Dr. Crane's treatments seem to be giving me some side effects.
Dr. Crane's been treating you? I'm not seeing anything in the file about that.
Oh, well, he's testing his new formula on me and...
He's doing what?
I'm sorry.
No, Arnold. It's not your fault. Please, go on.
Well, it's mainly headaches and nightmares. From the start. Oh, and I forget things sometimes.
And what did that pompous... What did Dr. Crane say was the purpose of his tests?
To help me bring my shadow to the surface so I can confront my, violent impulses?
Look, Arnold, I don't know what he's up to, but if you want to face your shadow, there are safer ways than being a guinea pig for some untested chemical cocktail. The important thing is trying not to repress those darker thoughts.
But I don't like those thoughts.
And that's okay. Acknowledging them doesn't mean acting on them. Some people benefit from externalizing those aspects by projecting them onto an imaginary person they can talk to. It's a way to explore those things safely by having a conversation with yourself. Do you think you could do that?
Well, my cellmate Donegan, he has a puppet named Woody. It's fun to talk to sometimes.
There you go. Just imagine Woody has all those darker parts of your personality. Talk to him. Make friends with him. I promise that'll help you more than whatever Crane is dosing you with.
That's a really great idea, Dr. Quinzel. I'll ask Donegan if I can borrow him. Maybe he won't get all worked up. If I tell him it's for therapy.
Harleen unknowingly helped to foster the relationship between Arnold and Woody. There's a segment in the game where you go into a group therapy meeting where Arnold is present, and he does bring Woody, like he said he would in that audio tape. Harleen tries to act like Woody is a real person and talks to the puppet, but Crane doesn't support Arnold's nutjob tendencies and takes Arnold to partake in his own treatment right then and there. In Jonathan Crane's audio tape with Arnold, he pulls Arnold's quote-unquote shadow out in that audio tape. Check this out.
Please, have a seat, Arnold. Do you know why you're here today?
No. No, sir.
The public defender requested a psychological evaluation to determine if you're competent to stand trial.
Oh!
Do you understand what you're being accused of?
I killed a guy.
That's correct.
But it wasn't my fault. He walked into my knife.
27 times.
He was very determined.
Clearly, there's a part of you that craves violence. You keep it hidden. In psychology, we call this the shadow. And yours seems to be very dark indeed.
Like this bunny, you mean? I can also do a dog.
Put your hands down, Arnold. It's just a metaphor. Now, a favorable evaluation might be in the cards if you can do a little something for me. I'm recruiting volunteers to assist with the new treatment I'm testing. A compound that draws the shadow out, brings it to the surface so it can be confronted.
Yes. Of course, Doctor. Anything you say.
Very good, Arnold. I'll have the guards escort you to my lab this evening.
Later on in the game, we see that Arnold does kill Donegan with Woody. There's crime scene tape in the cell as well as cops trying to talk to Arnold about what happened. And also, when Batman goes after Crane, you find Arnold there undergoing one of Crane's treatments. Batman steps in before it gets worse. It seems like Crane really pushed Arnold into complying to Woody and killing Donegan. And at the end of the game, when hell is breaking loose in Blackgate, Arnold and Woody killed his Blackgate worker here, and they seemingly escape from the prison, as that's what Woody suggests, starting their descent into the ventriloquist supervillain. Now, I love their story here. It's pretty much accurate to how it typically goes, with the twist of Crane using his shadow treatments to kind of push Arnold or nudge him towards his more violent tendencies to fully don his villainous persona. It's a really cool detail, and what's also really cool is that it's never been clear whether the puppet is actually possessed or the people carrying him are just lunatics. Sometimes he is possessed, but it's never really made clear in the Arkham game specifically. However, in this game, if you go into detective mode, when you listen to Woody speak, the sound emitter comes from the puppet, not from the person using the puppet, which to me confirms that Woody here, or Scarface soon to be, is actually haunted and possessed. Really sick detail they added here, and it shows that he does control the people carrying him. And I like their inclusion in the story because they really did become their villainous persona because of the main plot point of the game, which is Shadow. Crane helped push Arnold to that edge. Crane wants people to bring out their violent sides, and he succeeded with Arnold. It shows that Jonathan Crane was always a huge catalyst for this entire series, throughout the series, even in Batman's early years. Over the course of the game, a man named Joe helps you out. He's in charge of the commissary at Blackgate, and he helps you get things like contraband and stuff, and sneaking into areas and things like that. This character is not just any Joe. This is Joe Chill, the man who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. However, this Joe Chill in the Arkhamverse, while still in the wrong, it's revealed in the game that he really regrets what he did and understands that he is exactly where he needs to be. So for context, nobody knows Joe Chill killed the Waynes. They never caught him. He was sent to Blackgate on some other random charge, I think for knocking over a gas station. When Joe killed Bruce's parents in this universe, he just left, and yeah, no, he never got caught. He's been in Blackgate for like 2 decades. The audio tape between him and Harleen reveals that he doesn't like to talk about his past. Take a listen.
You wanted to see me, Dr. Quinzel?
Joe, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for acting like I had a choice. This being prison and whatnot.
Right. I just wanted to say, you've been doing really great in our group therapy sessions. Your openness and willingness to share has been an inspiration to many of the other prisoners, and I'm glad you seem to be getting so much out of it.
Thanks, but you make it easy. I've been inside a long time, and not everyone who runs these sessions seems to care like you do.
I appreciate that. I've always believed that there's good to be found in everyone, if you dig deep enough.
Sure, but you probably need an excavator to reach some of these guys.
Which is exactly why I asked you to come by. I'd like to get into some shadow work, starting next session. Really dig deep into the parts of ourselves we usually repress. Jung tells us that many kinds of cognitive distortions are caused by repressing past trauma, a concept I think might really benefit the group.
I'm not sure what talking about Killer Croc's mommy issues is gonna solve, but you're the doctor.
Humor is a classic deflection tactic, Joe. For as open as you've been, I know you're still holding back. I don't mean to pressure you or make you uncomfortable, but this type of therapy only works if you're willing to be vulnerable.
Listen, Doc, it's nothing personal. They're just parts of my past I don't like to talk about. Going over all that won't change what I did, or how I feel about it. I'm not like a lot of these guys. I know I'm exactly where I ought to be.
Whatever's causing you pain, I want to help. And I think it could help the others to see it too.
Appreciate it, Doc. But the others, they need your help a whole lot more than I do.
He feels regret for what he did. Joe has another audio tape with Leslie Tompkins where he recognized her from the free clinic over at Park Row. You can actually find this clinic in Arkham City in the game, which is awesome. Anyways, he mentions in that audio tape how that neighborhood was a very bad part of Gotham. People were stealing left and right, a whole lot of crime basically. Anyways, at the end of the audio tape, Joe sees a photo of Leslie with a young Harvey Dent and young Bruce Wayne, but he just solely focuses on Harvey in the picture and avoids the topic of Bruce. Take a listen.
That photo there. That's you and...
Harvey Dent? I'm surprised you recognize him.
Huh. Oh, yeah. He's on TV a lot now, right? So, you know him?
Back then, I ran a crisis center for kids. The boy next to Harvey is Bruce Wayne. Not too long after his parents were killed. Those two were like sons to me.
Right. Harvey Dent.
His final audio tape with Crane reveals everything and how he felt about that night. Check this out.
No cream, no sugar, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Crane. But you didn't bring me in here for coffee.
Astute, as always. Dr. Quinzel said you're responding remarkably well to her half-baked notion of shadow therapy. However, she did note your reticence when it comes to sharing certain aspects of your past.
Yeah, sure. There's some stuff I figure is nobody's business but mine. And she's always been respectful of boundaries.
Is that what you really think?
What do you mean?
Just wondering how you'd respond to treatment from a doctor who actually knows what they're doing. Case in point, I've been developing a new treatment that can bring the shadow to the surface. It dredges up the darkest, hidden parts of the self so they can be faced. Aggressive, but effective.
I appreciate the offer, but I'll pass. Doesn't sound like my kind of thing.
I thought you might take some convincing. That's why I put some in your coffee.
What? Are you... Oh, God.
Now, tell me, Joe, what are you so afraid of?
No. Don't want to. You can't make me talk about stuff I did. 20 years is a long time.
What did you do, Joe?
Just needed money. Didn't mean to hurt anybody. But you get desperate. So, when I saw those two Richies leaving the theater, and the lady's necklace, you could tell it was worth something.
And then?
I recognized them from the papers, from TV. Not normal people. Billionaires. Wrath of God, wealthy. And they both got a good look at me. He should have let me take the necklace, but it broke. Pearls on the pavement. And I shot him. Her too. Because how could she forget my face?
The Waynes? You murdered the Waynes?
Right after, I noticed the kid there. God. He looked at me like I'll never forget. And I just didn't have it in me. I ran. Left him there in that alley. Didn't get the necklace. Didn't even get their wallets. Only thing I stole was some rich kid's parents.
You were never caught.
Got picked up for knocking over a gas station. Nobody else ever knew I was the guy that did it. Just the kid. But those eyes, in my dreams every night, burning with wrath. I took the life sentence. Safer on the inside. He can never know it was me. Nobody can. You have no idea what someone that rich is capable of. And I do. I've had 2 decades to think. I can't. I can't tell anybody.
Joe feels he deserves a life sentence and remembers Bruce's face vividly, and Bruce was the only guy who saw or knows who killed his parents that night. In the group therapy scene, Brewster matches Malone, discusses how his parents were killed as a kid, and Joe Chill is present in this meeting. You can see Joe turning around, clearly thinking about the situation, since maybe he's thinking, is this the guy whose parents I killed? However, the finale of the game shows that Harvey Dent left a voice message for Bruce. In this message, he was trying to tell Bruce that he found the man who killed his parents. Harvey found out that Joe Chill in Blackgate is the guy that killed Bruce's parents, but he wants to meet Bruce in person to tell him, so he doesn't reveal it in the message. The finale of the game, where Harvey's about to kill this old man here, is Joe Chill. Harvey wants to kill him to get justice for Bruce, but Bruce stops him before he can do that. Batman unmasks himself in that scene, and Bruce lets Joe escape, and that's the last we see of Joe.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Joe, just get the hell out of here. Joe, now! Harvey.
But now, Joe Chill knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, the man whose parents he gunned down. He said it himself in his Crane audio tape that people have no idea what someone that rich is capable of, and now he really knows. It's clear to me with Joe trying to reform and be better in prison that he would keep Bruce's identity a secret. Maybe Bruce pays him a visit to talk things through in the Arkhamverse, but either way, the Joe Chill here has a lot more character than we typically get, and it really sheds a different light on the night Bruce's parents die. The way Bruce reacts to this in the scene is just him not really forgiving Joe. I mean, who would? But he resists the urge to let someone like him, who took Bruce's life away, to die at the hands of Harvey. It's really interesting. Who knows, maybe we'll see more Joe Chill in a future Arkham game. Batman has a character arc in this game. So if you remember at the end of Arkham Origins, Batman was really close to killing the Joker. His rule was put to the test in that game. This game continues that motion. So over the course of the game, Bruce struggles with his no-killing rule. In the prologue of the game, when Leslie Tompkins and Harvey Dent, 2 of his childhood friends, are threatened by the rat cultists and abducted by them, Bruce gets furious. He goes on an insane rampage through the rat army. They all are clearly scared and think Batman is actually going to kill them. All the while, Alfred is trying to get Bruce to calm down. One of the head rat leaders that Batman catches also tests Batman's no-killing rule before he sets himself on fire. Batman's no-killing rule, however, is fully explored when Crane tries to release Batman's shadow. After finding Crane's secret lair at his office in the story, he doses Batman with his new drug, giving us a hallucination sequence that I think is the best one of the entire series, hands down, like truly. In this segment, Bruce watches the night his parents are attacked by Joe Chill, but instead of them dying, a demon Batman spawns in and kills Joe, saving a young Bruce and his parents. Bruce's violent tendencies on the inside are now being explored, or his shadow, so to speak. Bruce thinks about these things. He wishes he could kill Joe for what he had done. And if you notice, did you see what the demon Batman looked like there? It's the same one we see at the very end of Arkham Origins. This segment here is continued on into Arkham Shadow. Batman nearly killed Joker here. It's like the demon Batman nearly took Bruce over and he was almost pushed over to the edge. His shadow almost coming out, and yeah, he almost killed Joker. This game continues that, which is insane. The next scene of the hallucination sequence shows the demon Batman protecting Harvey and Bruce from Harvey's father, who's trying to hurt Harvey. The demon Batman kills Harvey's dad here as well. The demon Batman says that monsters don't deserve to live, while Bruce is struggling with that notion. At the end of the hallucination sequence, we get this amazing boss fight where Bruce fights off against this demon Batman self, this giant Batman. You have to dodge shurikens and slime coming at you and grapple onto these slime bat things and fight off to slime guys and watch him as he tries to stalk you. It's really awesome. It's a really awesome boss fight. Anyways, Batman beats his demon Batman self. He gets back to reality and confronts Crane about everything. If Batman lost there, his shadow would have taken over and he probably would be a killing machine. That's how I interpreted it anyway. And this story truly comes full circle at the end of the game, where Bruce saves Joe Chill from Harvey, letting Joe Chill go, And if Bruce wouldn't even let someone like Joe Chill die, then Bruce really has learned to control his killing impulses, coming that much closer to being in tune with his no killing rule and self-control. This, I think, was a really great direction to take Batman. In Arkham Origins, he was his angry, young self, but he never really got over his anger in that game. He still doesn't in this game, but he's one step closer. He confronted his inner demons and overcame them, and it's a path that makes sense into seeing the calmer, stoic Batman we see in the Rocksteady trilogy. It's awesome to see Batman go through an arc here because that's what made him so interesting in Arkham Origins. To see something new here is awesome. In Arkham Origins, he overcame working alone and started to bring in allies. We see that in this game, where Barbara helps him out as well as being really kind to Alfred. In this game, he's now learning to stabilize his no killing rule. That's his next step on his path, and he seems to have done that at the end of the game. These are two huge traits of Batman that we see honed in these prequels. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another prequel discussing some other element of Batman, but for what Arkham Shadow brought to the table, I think it was a really nice direction to take the character. And those are 5 lore details in Arkham Shadow that vastly changed the universe, at least to me. Harvey and Bruce are childhood friends. Crane is basically behind so much why villains are the way they are, like Ventriloquist and Two-Face. Joe Chill is vastly explored, and Bruce fights his killing urges. Arkham Shadow brings a lot to the table. I'll make another lore detail video too, because there's so much more to talk about for sure, but yeah, until then, if you enjoyed, like, share, comment, anything like that helps, and I'd really appreciate it. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next video. Stay safe, and peace!